Hey everybody, it's Lebo with Lebo's Pinball. So I've got something really cool today. This is a 1971 Gottlieb Playball. This game belongs to a friend of mine who has been wanting to get a game for a long time. He's been extremely patient with trying to locate a game. He and I took a road trip with several hours to head up. We went to, I think, Columbus to go get this game. And had another stop on the way back at a pinball garage, of course. Yeah, we got this game, and when we brought it back home, we decided I'm going to go through it and fix some things. And then as I started going through it, it's like we're going to fix some more things. And then, you know, from there, we're going to do the full Monty on this thing. This game got we tore the playfield down. Lots of parts that were addressed, some painting on the playfield that was addressed, the cabinet completely addressed. I mean, we're talking, you know, it was the stencil repaint, it was wood repair, lots of little details. But the thing is that when this is all done, it stands tall and it's just nice to hang on to. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I'm going to take you through everything that we did on this. And hope you enjoy it. All right, let's get going. When we first got the game, it was stuck on tilt. So you would power it up and it would just say tilt. So from there, you'd start hitting the start button. You hit it a few times and, you know, just nothing would happen. So I had to start digging into trying to figure out what's going on. So first started looking down inside the cabinet. And if you look at the whole wiring board, or the circuit board, I like to call them, because it's all on an actual wooden board. Started going through the whole bank of relays and switches that's over there on the left, and all the ones on the right, and basically just had to carefully look through them and scrub some of them, make sure that the ones that are supposed to be making when they're making are working, and when they're open, they should be open. Had to go through a bunch of them all. The scoring motor that you get down to seeing here in the bottom, you know, the left here, it had a few that were not quite right either. And it was funny because, you know, you're finding certain problems for things you're looking for, but then you start to find other little things that you know are just not quite right when you go through it. So they all got addressed and it started to really wake up. So the scoring units for this game were acting up just a little bit. They had some issues where, you know, you have like 1 point would not roll over to the tens, or the 10 would roll into the hundreds. So a little bit of cleaning of each one of these units and all the contacts inside of them got it to where they were working more correctly. And even over on this other side here, the runs units, this has to deal with the runs in this whole baseball related game of this pinball game. And you know, just cleaning this up, it got it working properly too. The whole stepper unit down here, it had some issues as well. Just had to go through it and clean all the contacts. But really just kind of going through everything and cleaning everything up made a big difference. So moving to the playfield, looking at the bottom side at least. So here we've got, you know, there's more solenoids and switches to deal with. But one thing this game has that's really cool are these Vare targets. So, you know, when you hit the ball and you hit the Vare target, the harder you hit it, the more of a, you know, more score you're going to get. Vare targets came out in 1969. I think it was a game called Airport that Gottlieb created. And this game just, you know, a couple of years later started to apply that whole same mechanism to it. So it's a really cool thing. When you hit it, you get that nice shot and it hits it good and hard and knocks it all the way back, you'll get this home run. So it's a nice, cool thing. So they weren't working quite right. They were really sluggish, so they need to be cleaned up and a little bit of tweaking on the springs. But they're working great now. Some other things in the back, of course, the flippers, they were totally rebuilt and upgraded. So, well, first off, as far as the rebuild is concerned, you've got the usual thing where you're going to have a new plunger, the linkage, the arm, the bushing, the spring, and the stroke switch, all important stuff to do. But I like to put in these Gottlieb, the A5141, the yellow dots, because they are just a little bit stronger. I think it's like 10-15% stronger, not a whole bunch. There's the yellow dot right there. Having those on there hits the flipper just a little harder, and on this game you kind of wanted that to be able to get the ball up to the top part of the playfield. So I think it fits perfect for this game. Just going through everything on this the underside of the playfield and getting it all cleaned where it needs to be, and make some little adjustments, and it was all good. All right, so let's start talking about the top part here, the playfield, all the stuff that really, really matters. All right, so looking at the apron here, didn't really have to do too much other than just clean it up. The instruction cards, made new ones, and I tried to get some printed on some paper that looks sort of consistent with the whole look of the machine. I didn't want to put it on real bright white paper, so it's kind of off-white, so it looks right. And the lights that are inside of it are LEDs. In fact, the entire machine, and I haven't even mentioned this so far, every bulb has been replaced with LEDs except for a couple that were blinkers. That I got some blinking bulbs that were incandescents. So moving ahead. So again, I mentioned earlier about the rebuilding the flippers. Well, one other thing is that we actually got new actual flipper bats. That's the plastic part of it. And the bats that you get, they don't have any of this artwork that's actually on here. But we managed to get it recreated. So this game has got some that actually have this bat artwork that's normally like silk screened onto the actual bat itself. And what I did is I had a good friend of mine who recreated that and printed it out, and we've put it on as decals. And they look really good. I've got the silicone bands that are going to last forever. And they play nice, and like I mentioned, they last forever, so they're good. Going along with the rest of the playfield, the plastics are original. I really wanted to get some new ones, but I just can't get them. There's probably a way to go get them recreated, but I just stuck with the original, so they're really not that bad. I'd like to have nice new I did flatten them out. I did do the whole trick with taking them into an oven with some glass to flatten them out, and they turned out fine. But I've got silicone bands on here. I mentioned the poly bands down here, but silicone for all the rings and the bands and everywhere else. The other cool thing that I did, see this target here, as well as all the baseball targets there in the back. Those are all brand new. Had to take each one off, drill out the rivet, get a new one put in, and they look nice. The original ones, they just yellowed, and the artwork was a little bit worn away. So that's all new. All these posts here, these white posts, those are all brand new. So they give it a nice little sparkle. Looking at these lanes in the back, that's new plastic again. All new stuff. Take a look at these pop bumpers. So just kind of switch over to a picture here to show you what the pop bumpers used to look like. So somebody had tried, I guess, just painted some that they had before, and the ones that we have here now, you've got the artwork that's correct. This is what it's supposed to actually have. So we got new ones to replace the ones that were done before. And while I had the whole pop bumpers all disassembled and cleaning up the rings that are inside of them, the metal part of it, the other thing we did here is at the bottom part of it, it's a little hard to tell, but there was some of the paint that was worn away underneath. Very carefully touched that up, and there is Mylar. I've got some new floating Mylar. This is not the adhesive kind. I don't really like that for pop bumpers because it just promotes more problems of pulling up paint. And the floating kind, as long as you take care of them, you don't grab it and when you're cleaning the machine and bend it, they're fine. They will stay flat. So I put new Mylar in there. That worked out well. Speaking of paint, so throughout this whole playfield, there was a lot of little spots, just little nicks here, and there's still some. If you look real close, you'll still see some little spots. It's not terrible now, but it was more noticeable before, and I've got a lot of that taken care of. There again, like I said, there's a lot of little areas that show some wear. This whole little area down through here, it still has a little bit of a ball track wear. I've tried to work on it some, and that's about as far as I can get without really making a mess of it. But anyways, yeah, the playfield has turned out a lot nicer than it used to be. Okay, so the cabinet, let's talk about that. So I mentioned earlier that this cabinet did get a repaint. But before it did that, you've got to sand everything down and prep the wood. And what really inspired this whole repaint to really start out with was this whole back box. The wood through here, it was delaminated. The whole plywood was, the bottom part of it was kind of bubbling out, and it was kind of noticeable. And the owner for the game wanted to do something about that to fix it. What that means is it's kind of a domino effect, really. Replacing that wood, it's going to mean you're going to have to paint it. And to paint it means you're going to need to paint everything around it and redo the whole artwork. Well, that's okay, because it turned out really cool. Look at this. You got the speckle spatter effect, and the stencils that we did for all of the artwork that came from the Pinball Pimp for the entire cabinet and all this artwork that was all done. It was a job. Doing stencils is it's some work, and I love doing it because of the results that it comes out with, because you got something that looks like how it was supposed to be. The white that I went with, you can't really tell so much in the camera, but this is an off-white to try to look a lot like in an original game. I didn't want to do anything that was real bright. I wanted something that made it look authentic, and it really turned out well. One other thing I want to show, the back part of the box, or the cabinet here. This wood, it was also warped. I had to get some new plywood in. This whole back piece was replaced, and it's a whole tongue and groove actually into the whole cabinet. And I built in these little rails. This isn't actually not original. This isn't something that was done for this game way back in 1971. They didn't start doing this until a lot later. But the nice thing is to have these standoffs with the little feet, so that whenever you're transporting the game, it keeps from scratching the edges and beating it all up. So added that to it. One other little thing is the legs. So brand new legs, levelers at the bottom. That makes it look nice. All of the rails on the side, when I had them out, I scribed them down with Scotch-Brite. If you go with a fairly mild to very fine Scotch-Brite, you can get a lot of the issues out of them. The same goes with the lock bar. So starting out, it was kind of scratched up, and now it's got a nice brushed look to it. So turned out well. All right, so enough of my yapping. Let's give this game a go. So one thing that's kind of unique with this game, I don't know how many games actually did this, but this is one of them. So it does not have a ball plunger. You don't have, over here on the right side, something that you would normally pull back and, launch the ball. So instead, the ball gets launched actually right out of the trough. So right when it drains, it's just one ball for this game. So right when it goes in here, the way that you launch it is right here. It says, look down here at the bottom, sorry. Press right to shoot ball. So anyways, that's what we're gonna do. Let's give this game a go. All right, ready? Hit the right flipper over here. Shot right into the fair target. Look at me, I already drained it. All right, let's go ahead and go for ball 2. As typical. I can work on them, but Up and to the right. Go for that Vera target. Those are both of these. Right here's the Vera targets that you're trying to shoot for. You can hit them if you hit it nice and square and you shoot it all the way up, you'll get a home run. It's a nice shot. It feels good when you hit it. All right, so we're gonna ball for it. Got it set up currently for 5-ball. It can be for 3 or 5-ball, but for a lot of EMs, just 5-ball seems right. Come on. All right, let's see if we can get a good shot. Yeah, got a double on that one. All right, here we go. Last ball. You gotta be kidding me. Went right there to the drain. All right, well, it's game over. It's Playball. It's a cool game. It's cool because it keeps scores and runs, and it's nice. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.